A number of people have asked Curtis Sliwa to drop out of the mayor's race, but the toughest nail street fighter is still in it, and he says to win it. So I have to ask you this question. In the last few days, we've had a lot of rain, and it points to problems with infrastructure and our sewers and other things. If you're elected mayor, what would you do?
First thing, what used to happen, because I'm the only real New Yorker born here, is we used to have the catch basins, the sewers clean once a month. By then, the Department of Sewers. You remember Ed Norton from the Honeymooners? He was down in the sewers. They don't do that anymore.
So what are you going to do if you're mayor?
Well, immediately, all the catch basins get cleaned up from the Department of Environmental Protection.
How difficult is that to do?
Because that's where the flooding is. I stopped right on the West Side Highway yesterday where the flooding always is. You see it in my videos. You could predict where all the flooding is going to be because it is the overflow from the sewers.
So if they know that this happens all the time, why hasn't it been done now?
Well, very good. De Blasio didn't do it. Obviously, Eric Adams hasn't done it. I will do that because these are the basics that you have to do as a mayor. By the way, Rudy Giuliani, who has endorsed me because I'm Giuliani 2.0 on 2.0. Remember all the snowstorms we used to have before global warming and climate change? But the one thing that Rudy always had was his commissioners dredge the catch basins and sewers, which are imperative. It's not being done now. You know exactly where the flooding is going to take place every time we get these torrential downpours.
I want to ask you about Mayor Adams. On Friday, he said that he was going to provide the funding for 5,000 new cops, which actually can't come online until next summer, I think the beginning of the fiscal year, July 1st, which will mean that there's a different mayor, in whoever that turns out to be, you or somebody else. How do you feel about that? And why do you think he's trying to do this now when he could have done it in his last budget and had it go into effect this year?
Of course. And remember, he's the one who found $7 billion for the migrants that we didn't even know.
But let's talk about the cops.
Right.
How do you feel about his decision?
Well, first off,
here with the campaign almost over, he's now saying, I found the money to hire 5,000 cops over the next several years.
Great. Knock us to you, Eric Adams, for finally waking up and not going to a club to the break of dawn and wanting to hire cops. But this is the problem. Retention and recruitment. They don't have that qualified immunity, which, as you know, I took time in both debates to explain.
But wait a second. Let's cut to the chase. Can he actually do this? Can he say, I'm going to hire more cops and impose it on whoever becomes mayor, whether it's you, Andrew Cuomo, or Zohran Mamdani?
Well, he found $7 billion for migrants. He didn't have to get the okay for city council. So I'm sure that Eric Adams, knowing Eric Adams, he's got to...
The point is this. The point is this. Are you going to be saddled with his plan? Is Zohran Mamdani going to be saddled with his plan?
Well, it's not saddled. I want 7,000 cops, so I'll have an additional 2,000 cops by taxing the universities for properties that they have that are not being used for educational purposes. NYU, Columbia, and Jimmy Dolan, his very dear friend who pays no property tax. Jimmy, start paying your fair share so we can hire cops.
So let me ask you this question, though. If you don't win, and right now the polls say that the leader is Zohran Mamdani, he wants to defund police. So if he comes in and he takes a look at this plan that the mayor has put in place, what's the chances that Zohran Mamdani keeps this plan and hires 5,000 more cops?
Well, what's the chance that people are going to want to join the police department with Zohran Mamdani in charge as mayor? That's the bigger issue. So again, I go back to retention and recruitment. If the police are not insured with qualified immunity, they're not going to be joining. They need to be protected like all of the civil servants. I'm the only candidate saying give them the insurance back so that they will not be personally sued.
I guess the question also comes to mind is this. What do you make of the fact that in the last several weeks, the mayor has been trying to do things which he thinks is going to impact what other people could do? Like Zohran Mamdani says he's going to freeze rents. The mayor wants to appoint new people to the rent guidelines board that could stop that. On Thursday, he gave a speech on anti-Semitism, sort of implying that Zohran Mamdani wasn't gung-ho in terms of supporting the state of Israel. And Friday, he says, I'm going to appoint 5,000 more cops, even though Zohran Mamdani says, I'm going to defund the cops. What's going on there? And do you think that's something a mayor who's leaving office should be doing?
Well, we all know that if Eric Adams had been a halfway decent mayor, It would have been round two this time around. It would have been the Democratic incumbent, Eric Adams, versus the Republican, Curtis Sliwa, like in 2021. He's the reason there's Zohar Mandami. He should have been in jail with Bobby Menendez. And then they resurrect the political zombie, Andrew Cuomo, a failed governor, and they bring him back. And naturally, he gets wiped out in a Democratic primary. They are the two reasons that there is Zohar Mandami.
So do you think that the mayor is trying to make it more difficult for whoever becomes mayor?
I don't know what games Eric Adams is playing. He's one and done. The price was right for him to bow out. So, look, knock yourself out, Eric Adams. I hope when you leave, you're doing good things for the city, because you were a complete catastrophe and disaster as mayor of New York City.
So I want to talk about experience. You've been around the city an awful long time, but you've never run a government. You've never had elected office. So if you have no experience, what makes you think that you can handle a budget of over $100 billion?
Oh, thank God I don't. Thank God I'm not a professional politician. Look at what de Blasio did, the professional politician. Cuomo, he had to flee Albany because of impeachment. Look at Eric Adams. He should be in jail. Thank God I'm not the professional politician, but I will have men and women who are experts in the field, because I'm not all-knowing, omnipotent, and they will give me the guidance to make the right decision. You see, one thing I am is a good listener. That's why I'm in the subways every day, because you can't talk in the subways. You know how New Yorkers are, Marcia. They do the talking, whether they're friends or foes or they're inquisitors. You listen to the best, the brightest, and you implement their ideas and suggestions at a limited cost to the taxpayers.
So you have run before for mayor. I wonder, in one sentence, why should New Yorkers give you a chance this time?
Well, you're asking me a lot to truncate it, right, to what the one said. Why?
Because 2 sentences.
Because I'm the only genuine New Yorker, born here. They try to kill me here. I'll die here. I'll be buried here. I've served the people for 46 years, and I've asked nothing in return. And everybody loves Curtis. See, the commentator, like everybody loves Raymond. Everybody loves Curtis. Now I have to get them to vote for me. And the people are going to choose the next mayor, not the billionaires, not the insiders, and not the influencers. They failed every step of the way.
That was about 10 sentences, but I'm going to give you that, okay? We're going to leave it right there for now. But our conversation continues right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. We are back with Curtis Sliwa. So here's the question. Say you get elected. What will the Curtis Sliwa administration look like on day 100? What immediate changes will you make, and how will the city be different after you've had 100 days at it?
I will be guided by Bob Holden, Democrats for Sliwa. He leads that. Unfortunately, he's term limited out. Great councilman from Middle Village, Maspeth, and Glendale. Spent 40 years teaching in the system. Great civic leader.
How's the city going to look? What are you going to do?
Well, Department of Education will be turned upside down and all around, because we're spending 1/3 of our budget. And the children and the teachers in the classroom are not deriving the benefit. Excuse me?
Can you do it in 100 days?
Yes, you can. Because you look at the top heavy number of deputy chancellors and those who are in charge of departments that nobody ever sees at the school level. And you immediately cut. You cut the budget. You cut taxes, property tax. You can cut as the mayor. It's up to 20%. It's what they pay in Nassau, Suffolk, Westchester, and northern New Jersey. It never used to be that way. And you move to cut the corporate tax because corporations have been fleeing all along. Obviously, there's the Zohar Mandami scare, but they've been fleeing to Florida and Texas all along.
Taxes, I mean, the property tax is the only tax that New York City can raise by itself. So if you cut all these taxes, how are you going to do all these things that you want to do?
Well, you shrink the budget because of all the waste. I mean,
where do you find waste? Who's going to find ways for
Department of Buildings, which is the most ineffective department. You build from the bottom to the top. Affordable housing. Everybody's talking about, oh, we're going to invest in the outer boroughs. The city of yes. No. On the back, you vote no to the city of yes. We have 25 Empire buildings worth of empty office space that can be retrofitted into 1 year into affordable apartments, most of them in Manhattan where you already have an infrastructure. These are common sense solutions. To start a new project from beginning to end, 300 apartments, some of them affordable, takes you 5 years. We can't wait 5 years. We can do it all within a year with a partnership between the city.
How are you going to build apartments within a year?
In New York City, Manhattan, you see all the empty office space. You walk around at
But
night, you have empty storefronts and empty office space because of this.
You still have to retrofit them. You still have to get people in to redesign them.
Right. And by the way, you'll keep the tradesmen and the tradeswomen employed.
And there are laws that limit what you can do in some of these buildings because you have to have windows, access to air, and things like that. It takes time. Those are rules.
It takes time. But look at what the city council and the mayor has done, requiring everybody to upgrade. They call it upgrade. Everything has to be electrified. Local 97.
You want to do away with that?
Well, you can't have that. Local 97, co-op condo owners, there are 100,000. A 30% increase in their maintenance fees, and they don't have enough reserve, they'll leave. So you have to slow down the process. Now, the mayor can do that. The mayor has the commissioners, the deputies, and if necessary, we go to court. We fight for the taxpayers. And look, they know how to sue us, all of their lawyers. So you go in and you clash and you slow the whole process down. If not, the city will dissolve.
So one of the issues in New Jersey is high electric rates. They're high in New York City as well. What could you do about it as mayor, given the fact that the electric rates are set by a state agency, the Public Service Commission?
Well, who started that? By taking Indian Point offline, 25% of our energy. Andrew
Why
Cuomo.
did I know that you were
And then he wouldn't allow natural gas in, which would give us
Would you reopen Indian Point?
No, not Indian Point, but there are other smaller nuclear power plants that can be built, but that takes a lot of time.
So how can you blame Andrew Cuomo for taking it offline when you wouldn't reopen it?
Wait a second, he took it offline without a replacement. Energy rates have skyrocketed. And now in the outer boroughs, they're putting these lithium-ion battery warehouses, which will create mini Chernobyls. Who's in favor of that? The city of yes. Andrew Cuomo, Zoran Mandami. Who's opposed to it? Curtis Sliwa. We just closed the second largest lithium-ion battery warehouse over in Travis on Victory Boulevard in Staten Island. People Power One.
How do you reduce electric rates?
How you reduce electric rates? Well, you start cutting the fees, the fines, the taxes, congestion pricing, which is an absolute disaster. Look at all the empty storefronts.
Congestion pricing doesn't pay for electricity.
Oh, no, but it's money out of your pocket. Money out of you keep picking the pocket of local people. These speed cameras. Instead of speed cameras, put speed bumps. It's $150. They clip you. And every 5 seconds, you have an app that warns you. Speed camera, speed camera. Notice they eliminated them in New Jersey when Chris Christie was taken to court, and the judges said, this is not for safety reasons. This is an additional tax on the people. No more speed cameras.
So you also differ about sanctuary city policies. Why?
I'm opposed to sanctuary city policies. Obviously, my two opponents have formed, but I am a believer in initiative and referendum. It should have been on the back of the ballot. People should have had a right to vote.
They want to have sanctuary cities.
I think the sanctuary...
We live in an immigrant population, so there are some people who are here who are immigrants that say everybody else that comes here should come the legal way as opposed to illegal immigrants.
Correct. I believe in legal immigration. I know there are a lot of illegal migrants who are here. Unfortunately for us...
But when they come here, you don't think they should have some protections?
Well, of course, they have protection now. As mayor, once I'm elected on January 1st, 2026, the law is sanctuary cities. But why won't we let people vote on that in an initiative and referendum? See, I'm not afraid of the people. If the people vote for sanctuary cities on an initiative and referendum, then I have to enforce that law as the mayor. But I trust people. I don't trust politicians, billionaires, influencers, and insiders. They just want to corrupt the process for their own personal gain. You really think they care about the people of New York? Come on, Marcia. It's follow the money. Politics is the dirtiest game ever. The only difference between politics and organized crime is they'll have a meal with you at night, they'll pat you on the back, the next day they'll stab a knife in your back, not that it hurts you, but they'll turn on you. Organized crime, there'll be a dead body. This is the dirtiest business, politics.
So I want to also talk to you about crime. I know that you've had a lot of experience in the subways, but you haven't had a lot of experience in running an organization like the NYPD. I know you want to hire more cops. Everybody except for Zoran Mandani wants to hire more cops. But here's the question. There are things within the police department that have become third rails, if you will, like maintaining the gang database or maintaining the SRT unit, that people are raising questions about them. How do you feel about those issues?
No, you maintain the specialized units. I visited them on Northern Boulevard on Sunday when I was campaigning throughout Flushing. They have a huge center there. I let the men and women know I got your back. But when it comes to the gang database, who knows more about gangs than Curtis Sliwa? That's why I started the Guardian
So you
Angels.
would keep it or get rid of it?
No, what you do is there are some men and women on that gang database who should have been removed a long time ago. And they don't update the list. They keep adding on to it.
So what would you do?
I would tell the police department, hey, look, if somebody's appealing to you to get off that list because it's causing them grief, then you have to have a one-on-one intervention. Are they active gang members? Oh, they have a tattoo. Okay, so they got to remove the tattoo. But don't impede their life and destroy it because you have them on a gang list and they're no longer gang members. So, I've taken thousands of young men and women who are gang members into the Guardian Angels and reformed them. They can't be reformed. I know the difference between a hardcore gangbanger and one who is on the periphery. I think a lot of people in New York City know that about me. I'm the mayor of the streets. I know more about the streets than anybody else.
So there's another issue involving the CCRB and the commissioner and who should have the final say in police disciplinary proceedings, the CCRB or the commissioner. There's a move afoot to take the commissioner out of it and just have the CCRB make the decisions. Your feelings about that?
No, you have to have the commissioner make the decisions. They go on departmental trial. Because I know one of the recent members on the CCRP, his name was Ronald Davidson. When I sat next to him at Billisey Junior High School, he was Ronald Finkelstein. He killed 3 people. He did time upstate, changed his name, moved back to the Bronx, and became a member of the CCRB. This guy always hated cops. I knew that at Billisey Junior High School in Canarsie. They'll let anybody into the CCRB, even if you have tattooed on your forehead, I hate the NYPD. Oh, sign them up. CCRB. No, that's not fair to the cops. It's not. Let the commissioner ultimately make the decision. They have departmental trials. They have investigators. They have the IAB, Internal Affairs Bureau. There's plenty of checks and balances within the department. And notice when you're on the IAB, none of the cops like you, right? Because they, what are you, snitching? Snitching on me? That's their job, to get rid of the bad cops and to keep the good cops.
So let's talk about Israel and anti-Semitism, which has been a big issue in the campaign. Andrew Cuomo would have you believe that Zohran Mamdani is anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. Do you think that's a fair charge?
I think it is. If you notice in that second debate, I turned to Zohran and I got very personal. I told him
about your kids.
My 2 youngest sons who were raised Jewish, their mother is Melinda Katz, the Queens DA, Democrat. I said, you know, they and their family and friends and neighbors, they think you pour fire on terrorists and terrorism. You stand with them, supporters of terrorism and terrorism, like the Imam Siraj Wahaj. You know, Marcia Kramer, he sued me for $5 million because I called him out. Luckily, I won. All the other politicians have queued up with him after he became an unindicted co-conspirator of the World Trade Center blast in 1992. And if you notice, Zohran loves to hug the supporters of terrorism and those who've been accused of terrorist acts. So I said to the audience, I said, what do you say to my family and friends, those who are Jewish, that suddenly you get elected mayor, you're going to be the firefighter after you were the arsonist? It doesn't work that way.
So what would you say to the approximately 30 or 40% of the Jewish community, depending on the poll, who say they support Zohran Mamdani despite his positions on Israel and Palestine?
Oh, as I've said to many Jewish audiences, boy, that's your problem. Boobies, Zetas, grandparents, mommies, daddies, you better exhibit tough love on your children and grandchildren because apparently many of them are mesmerized by Zohran Mamdani, and you're not committing tough love. You had them there for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, family events. Did you ever talk to them directly and say, why are you supporting somebody who supports terrorists and those who advocate for terrorism? I'll bet you they never had those conversations. So that's really an issue that Jewish families have to wrestle with. I can speak as a Gentile from the outside, but you're right. 30, 35, 40% of Jews in polls, if you believe the polls, are supporting Zohran Mamdani.
So what do you think is the issue that voters care about more than anything else in the entire world?
Okay, I'm out in the streets and in the subways every day, and I hear the 4 big issues. It's never changed, although it's increased public safety.
What are they?
Right. Public safety, quality of life. That's my strength. Affordability, cost of living. Obviously, that's how Zohran handily beat Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary. Those are the 4 issues. The people now have hours to determine who the next mayor is. I trust the people. They will cast the ballots. They will determine who the next mayor is. And guess what? I'm not fleeing to Florida if Zoran wins like Andrew Cuomo told his billionaire friends. Oh, I'm fleeing to Florida. I stay. I fight for what I know is right. I improve. I don't move. I will lead the opposition if, in fact, Zoran Mandami becomes the next mayor of the city of New York.
So speak to the disenfranchised voters in New York and tell them what you think was the one beautiful big idea or thing government did for them that made their lives better.
I can't think of one. This government here in New York City and New York State has been a disaster, a catastrophe. That's why, what do you got to lose? A disaster in de Blasio, a governor who fled Albany, who is going to get impeached, and a mayor who should be in jail now, the most corrupt mayor in the history of New York City. And Marcia, that's saying a lot. We've known a lot of mayors. How could I do any worse? I can't think of one thing.
Yeah, but that's your platform. How could I do any worse?
Well, look, I've given you my platform, but all the Democrats have done is pick your pockets, tax you from the cradle to the grave. And what do you get in return? Surus? Bupkis? I can't use the Italian words because you'll
what Soros means aggravation.
Grief, come on. They had their chance, the Democrats. Remember when we had Giuliani in 93 and Pataki in 94? All of a sudden, no chaos, no corruption, crime went down. Think of Curtis Sliwa as the Republican mayor, Giuliani 2.0. And next year, Elise Stefanik takes out Kathy Hochul. She becomes like Pataki, and we save New York State and we save New York City.
Okay, this is the last thing. I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on the following things. First of all, likability, 1 to 10.
Is that 10? 10 is the best?
Yeah, 10 is
Oh,
the best.
everybody loves Curtis.
So you gave yourself
10.
a 10. Personality, 1 to 10.
Oh, exuberant, 10.
Ability to compromise, 1 to 10.
Well, I've had to learn that, you get married, right? In a marriage, you're always compromising. I'd say 5, because half the time...
You're not good at compromising?
Well, I don't have to
good.
tell you. You're in relationships, but I've learned to that through marriage.
Okay, 1 to 10, experience.
Oh, who has more experience than me in the city of New York? 10.
Energy. 1 to 10.
Oh, I'm like the Energizer Bunny, 24/7, 365. 10.
Diligence, 1 to 10.
Diligence. There's nobody who's more consistent and focused than Curtis Sliwa. 10. But you see, that's
So
why...
you gave yourself all 10s. You're like...
Well, I gave him 5 on compromise. But that's why you don't self-grade in school. I would never let students self-grade because we'd all give ourselves, A plus on everything. Come on, Marcia. You know how politicians are.
So you're the A+ mayoral candidate.
We have humongous egos. You need cranes to get us in and out of a room. And that includes Andrew and Zoran, although they're actors.
Would you give
Curtis
them A+ as well?
Would you admit this, Marcia? You know me many years. The Curtis Sliwa in the streets is the Curtis Sliwa who's sitting right here.
Absolutely
I
true.
don't change.
Absolutely true. Thank you very much for joining me.
My pleasure.
And thank you at home for joining us as well.